The same type of men who wrote the Bible are the exact same type of men that are in the Epstein files right now. You need a minute to process that? I'll give it to you. Okay, we're good? Temper tantrum over with? If you can't see the parallel of the Bible and what is going on in our world right now, are you good? Everything okay in your life? There are eyesight doctors. Maybe go check one of those out. The Bible is not, never has been, never will be the literal word of God. The Bible is a collection of misguided information from corrupt men who wanted power and control. Sacrificing of children, underage you know what, eating and drinking of bodies and blood. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Fear, fear, fear. Control, control, control.
I don't support brother on that one. I think that's just his school of
We
thoughts.
are told in the Bible that it was a serpent who talked with Eve. Serpents are reptiles. So it very well might be that that's what the Bible is talking about. There was a reptilian in the Garden of Eden. And that reptilian contacted the humans, Adam and Eve, and caused problems for them. But it's interesting that the reptilian said that God was not being honest with them and that he would not die. I have come to discover that there is a certain amount of legitimacy in that, because the serpent, I think, was telling them the truth. The old rabbis, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they said that Adam and Eve were reptile skin and reptile faces, and they had reptile skin, just like a reptilian. And I'm thinking, wow, there is such a thing as reptile aliens. They come from a star system called Beta Reticuli. The gods came and said, come, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Reptilians, or whoever they were, they said, come, let us make man look like us and be like us.
Yo, man. My friends, this is really confusing. Myself, I don't agree with this one, man. Do you think humans could have been reptilians? This one I highly doubt. It's just our brother's also school of thought. This guy was out there in the water with his kayak when this whale decided to carry him on his back.
Terrible. No! Tocó arriba la ballena! ¡Tocó arriba la ballena!
Man, this must have been a scary experience. Let's assume the whales meant no harm, but
Mantén el equilibrio. Mantén el equilibrio nomás.
It's things like this that add more to my fear of the waters. Look at this. Yeah? Maybe the whale had just missed to have an encounter with humans.
Terrible.
The last time they did this must have been some long time ago, when the Bible told us that they once swallowed a guy called John.
Check this out. Someone just open sourced a software that lets you see through walls while using your own Wi-Fi signals. No cameras, no infrared, just pure radio waves. It's an open source project, meaning anyone can get it, called RuView, and it was just published on GitHub. It literally turns standard everyday Wi-Fi signals into a low-cost radar system. It uses AI models to analyze something called channel state information. You see, every time a Wi-Fi signal bounces around a room, your body subtly changes those signals because humans are mostly made of water. The AI studies these tiny disturbances and translates them into real-time 3D mapping, meaning they know exactly where you're standing and what you're doing. But it gets even crazier than that. The software doesn't just track your movement. The AI can actually isolate the rhythmic movement of your chest and read your breathing rate and track your heart rate from anywhere. It could be an incredible tool for things like elderly care and search and rescue, but it also means our physical privacy is entirely up for grabs. Would you trust this technology to be inside your house without you knowing?
No, I wouldn't, man. That feels like invasion of privacy.
Hey, did you know they're hiding this story from you? This is a story about Native American Indians that told about George Washington being protected by God. Check it out.
You know, George Washington was a courier for General Braddock, one of the English generals during the French and Indian War.
Yeah.
And all of the couriers were killed. And Washington had 2 horses shot from beneath him. And he had 4 bullet holes in his jacket.
What?
But no flesh wounds. He had bullet fragments in his hair, no flesh wounds. And many years later, he still hadn't become president yet, but he was back in the area. And one of the Indian chiefs who had been involved was elderly at that point, near death, he said to his braves, "Take me to see this man. I must see him before I die."
Wow.
And when they brought him in the presence of Washington, he said, "Sir, I'm an expert marksman, and I shot you 17 times.
Wow.
And my men shot you." And pretty soon I told them to stop wasting their bullets. And I just wanted to meet the man who was protected by the great presence above. That story used to be in all of our history books until it became politically incorrect.
It's sad that they took stories like this out of our school system because they talked about God. Happy 4th of July. And don't forget that God is heavily involved in our country.
Man, okay. If that is not true story, it's incredible.
Greenland. Is this why the world wants Greenland? And this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Allegedly, this is going on. Watch the video until the end. Save this video. And curious to know your thoughts in the comments section. You ever been to Greenland?
About the object in Greenland. A couple of you, okay. Well, for those of you that don't know, there is a spacecraft that has melted out of the ice in Greenland. As you know, the North Pole has melted completely. You can go from London to Moscow or to Russia by going over the North Pole now. All the ice cap is gone. The last place that has ice on it was Greenland. Greenland had a 18,000-foot ice cap on it. Well, the spacecraft that is anchored in the center of Greenland created the last ice age 50,000 years ago. It's a weather machine. It's 55 miles wide, 300 miles long, and 2 miles high. The people that lived in it were called the Mois. If you draw a straight line from the spacecraft to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., through the Yucatan Peninsula Great Pyramid at Mitsubishi, it ends up on Easter Island where the Mois have been dug out of this dirt. The heads on Easter Island, well, 2 years ago, they finally went ahead and they excavated, and they're all 65 to 85-foot people, full-body carvings. And these were the people that lived in the spacecraft that was uncovered that's melting out of the ice in Greenland. So when you think we've been alone, these people have been up there for 50,000 years. The spacecraft is still active after 50,000 years. It has a 200-mile dampening field where no electrons can flow into it. In 1947, a B-52 bomber flew into that pattern, into the dampening field when trying to fly between Maine and London. As a result of that, they lost power and crashed in Greenland. As they sent in rescue B-52 bombers to rescue them, they hit that same dampening field, but they veered off. They just ricocheted off of it. By testing, trying to get to these guys, they were able to bring a circumference and find out that there was an object 200 miles to the center of this field. On the southwest corner of Greenland, there is a small community. It's the only community on the island of Greenland. That community is a military post, CIA, that uses a compressed air generator to operate diesel engines to run a Caterpillar to run back and forth the 200 miles from the base to the object in Greenland. A lot of our technology comes from the reverse engineering out of the spacecraft. It is still functional and is still in operation. So it's pretty important what this thing is. All the nations worldwide are up there with the United Nations, and they're all...
Yo, man, I don't know about that, but it sounds quite true.
Now this is what you call a heavy-duty, seriously wide load. They ain't making moves like that out here in the U.S., but they do drive these trucks down the road to transport. The problem is, these things are so heavy, if they drive down the road will just literally buckle. That's why they have so many tires on the ground to change the ground pressure when they're hauling something this big and heavy. This is a serious mighty truck.
What? Well, I'm worried about what they were carrying. Is that a real
Show
car?
me your completely useless secret talent. I'll go first.
It's a good question. It's a good question. It's a good question. Oh, yeah.
my goat noise.
That's the same direction, okay? This is the same direction. What I want you to do is spin your fingers in opposite directions, like that.
What's your hidden talent? And I'm like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
I think I just discovered a hidden talent. Let me know if this is good. It's niche. It's niche. I don't know if many people can do this.
I can do it with this leg too. I can push them underneath my rib cage down to my other leg.
This is what I do when I want to scare people off the first time I meet them. I can bend it like that.
My hidden talent is I can do my hands like this. Oh.
Facts about Earth that do not seem real. And this one, I'm not so sure you're going to believe me. There are several different species on Earth that democratically vote together. The one that we're going to talk about today is the African buffalo. Before you scroll off of the video because you don't believe me, know that this is a process that has evolutionized and developed over years and years and years of this species. It basically goes, as a herd, African buffaloes are very matriarchal. But don't get it twisted, it is not a dictatorship and there is no one female leader in charge. When a herd of African buffalo are deciding on the next place to go, essentially what happens is the most experienced and adult females will get together and they themselves will sit down in a certain direction to point the herd on where they believe is the right way to go. But they don't always agree. Some females will go sit in one spot, some will sit in another spot, and essentially the majority is where the herd will head. It's obviously not like democratic voting like we do. There's no rules, there's no competition. It's based upon the matriarchal buffalo's experience. Some remember where the water is, some remember where the danger is, and that's what they base their decision upon. The most interesting part about this to me is that if there is almost an even split between where these buffalo tend to lie down in the direction that they want to go, sometimes these giant herds will even just break apart. Overall, the studies of African buffalo have been going on since the late 1800s, but they really ramped up in the 1970s when they studied why herds moved to certain places and how they made that decision. And they all decided that natural selection has favored herds like this that have evolutionized their decision.
Ah man, that shows the beautiful beauty of God's creations. It's just releasing something unusual. Take a look at this.
Watch them closely. 3 Super Hornets just released 103 autonomous drones at once from their flare dispensers. Not remotely piloted, pre-programmed. Autonomous. This test happened in October 2016. The Pentagon kept it classified for 3 months before anyone outside the program knew it existed. Here's what makes it different from anything that came before it. There is no leader in that swarm. No drone in charge. Every single one communicates with every other one at the same time. Sharing a single, distributed intelligence across the entire group. If you remove one drone from the swarm, it adapts. If you add them back, it adapts again. The Pentagon called it a collective organism with one distributed brain. Each one of these drones has an 11.8-inch wingspan, smaller than a piece of A4 paper. It weighs just over 10 ounces. It was 3D printed using commercial components. The body was designed by MIT engineering students. They were ejected from those Super Hornets at Mach 0.6 in temperatures of -10 Celsius. Then they formed up, coordinated without any human input, and completed 4 separate mission objectives. The 4th mission was a wide rotating ring formation. No one programmed that formation in advance. The swarm decides how to achieve it collectively.
Wow, this my friend is real technology. Aye, what?
CBS 60 Minutes tried to film this test. They almost gave up. The drones moved too fast and too unpredictably for a conventional news camera to track. This was 2016, nearly a decade ago. The DoD was already talking about producing these in batches of 1,000, and this is the version they let you see. Whatever came after this is still classified.
Have you ever seen a window magnify reality? This can really happen, and it's honestly very scary. I had no idea this illusion existed until I saw it in real life from the window of a hotel room I was in Sydney, Australia. From the window, I could see the Sydney Opera House. But as I moved away from the window, the Opera House appeared to come closer and grow larger. It was so trippy, I immediately researched every known optical and psychological mechanism that could possibly explain this particular type of forced perspective. And I found a lot, but I never found a name for it. So when I made a video about the illusion, I just called it the Sydney Opera House illusion. And after that video, a bunch of other people started posting their own versions of the illusion. Someone even created it in Minecraft. That was all really cool. But I gotta tell you this. Recently, I found this paper. It's from 1989, and in it, the researchers describe exactly what I called the Sydney Opera House illusion, but they gave it a different name, and they got there first. They called it the Vista Paradox. So that's what it should be called. However, agreeing on a name for the illusion is very different than agreeing on the cause of the illusion. We already know that two things play a role. The first is angular diameter, which describes how wide across something appears in your field of view. The closer you are to something, the larger its angular diameter will be. And as you move towards a bunch of stuff, the angular diameters of the nearer objects will grow more quickly. That's exactly what's happening with windows and the world beyond them. The window, being closer to you, appears to grow and shrink faster as you move back and forth. But we also know that the Ebbinghaus illusion is involved. The Ebbinghaus illusion tells us that the sizes of the frames around something can change how large we perceive it to be. However, neither of those mechanisms explains why the Vista paradox is so strong. You might already know where I'm going with this. Yeah, there's been a huge development in illusion science since I made my first video, the dynamic Ebbinghaus illusion. Normally, the effect of frame size on how large something appears to be is pretty muted, but if we make things move, it gets exciting. Lock your eyes right on this dot and watch. Out of your peripheral vision, the central circle appears to be growing and shrinking quite a bit. This version of the illusion is believed to be a lot more dramatic because with motion involved, the brain has way too much information coming in and has to resort to more shortcuts, more illusory assumptions. And in exactly the same way, the Vista paradox is much stronger when you're moving or when you fixate on the frame or the periphery rather than the central object. I believe that these two illusions are different footprints from the same beast. But the nature of that beast still needs to be teased out. But
At least thank you to you, brother. Thanks for explaining to us that one.
This is what a 25-watt incandescent bulb looks like in a thermal camera, and this is what a 3-watt LED bulb looks like. They both appear to be the same brightness, but the incandescent bulb is producing light by heating up a filament inside of the bulb, and it glows. But most of that energy, 22 watts of it, is being wasted to heat, which is why the incandescent bulb glows in the thermal camera and the LED bulb does not. This is why LED bulbs are so much more energy efficient. They're mostly just producing light in the spectrum.
So this was filmed on a security camera, 2025. You see this extremely bright light moving around, kind of pulsating above this field in Kentucky, and it is moving around, and then it shoots.
Wow, this was recorded in Kentucky, moving around. Look at this, it shoots in the air at a blazingly fast speed. Take a look, my friend, it's almost blinking. You know that this is a light bulb and go ahead or whenever it has power issues, but the bulb rapidly starts blinking. Ah! Did you see how it moved? The thing shrieked.
So there at the end, and this very bright light gets smaller, kind of shrinks down to a pinprick, and then it explodes in a flash of light and shoots up into the air, blindingly fast speeds, and then nothing. All is quiet. Let's watch that again. You hear some interference on the camera. And when it shoots up into the air, you also hear a loud noise as it shoots off into the air. Now, this is very reminiscent of the clip that we saw at the end of the last episode of Unexplained Chronicles. It was something very similar to this, except that object didn't shoot into the air, it just kind of collapsed in on itself in a fiery rain of sparks. Whereas this object shrinks to a pinprick and explodes up into the air. I have never seen anything like that before. Let's look at this one more time, frame by frame, because this is just crazy. So you see it kind of collapse in on itself, shrink down to nothing. It disappears for a couple of frames, seemingly, and then it reignites in a single frame. It goes from a pinprick to an explosion to shooting up into the sky at blindingly fast speeds. I have never seen anything like that before. That is mind-blowing if it's real. Is this real footage of some strange bright sphere UFO moving around a field before shooting up into the atmosphere at blindingly fast speeds? Or is this simply a fake video or a hoax? You decide.